Welcome to InGen Legal, where innovation meets legal brilliance to create a truly unique experience. This is the first of our YouTube web series on conveyancing and property law in Victoria. I am Anthony from InGen Legal, and today's episode is an introduction to the basics of conveyancing. Here's a quick rundown on what will be covered today. Firstly, the difference between a purchaser and a vendor, how to go about your property inspection, choosing a lawyer or a conveyancer, an auction versus private sale, completing the deposit payment, the contract of sale, the vendor statement, due dates, and finally, signing a contract for land. So let's get started. The purchaser or transferee accepts transfer of the land. They also receive any property built on the land. The vendor or transfers that land and any property on it to the purchaser. The real estate agent is hired by the vendor to sell the land and get the best price possible. They work for the vendor, but they also help the purchaser find the right home based on the purchaser's interests. But keep in mind, you are transacting for land, not the property. Speaking of the property, let's move to the next topic. You get to inspect the property you're buying before signing the contract. You can also inspect the property at any time within the week of the settlement date and including on the settlement date. Generally, you are permitted one final inspection before the settlement to ensure the property is in the same condition overall as it was when you signed the contract. When inspecting, be sure to check all appliances. This means lights, ovens, dishwasher if it's included, heating, cooling, alarms, and any other items that require action to make them function. The property will be passed to you at settlement as it was the day you signed the contract of sale. This is subject to fair wear and tear, so keep that in mind. InGen Legal recommends taking photos on your first inspection. That way you have evidence if there are issues you locate at the final inspection. This will allow us to help you better if you find an issue that wasn't there before. Speaking of battles, time for the age-old one. Should you engage a conveyancer or a lawyer? Well, generally, the conveyancer is cheaper. They will get the job done well, but only deal with transactional work specifically. If any other property law issue arises, they need to refer you and your matter to a property lawyer. So while having a conveyancer is completely fine, property lawyers often have a deeper understanding and will guide you in relation to future risks. A lawyer can also deal with all of your transactional work, but they can also deal with more complicated property law disputes. InGen Legal is a sophisticated legal practice who deals with all areas of property law. Naturally, we, of course, always recommend InGen Legal. Big surprise, huh? But after all, it's better to be safe with InGen Legal having everything under control and guiding you towards the very best professionals while you focus on the important things, moving into your new chapter in life and enjoying your home. The difference between an auction and a private sale. Well, with an auction, you head towards the loud ringing of the bell and group of people and try to get the best price possible while competing with other bidders. The auctioneer will present the rules to all bidders before the auction starts. Generally, the auctioneer can make bids on behalf of the vendor to raise the current price toward the reserve price. The reserve price is the amount the vendor has set with the agent as the lowest offer they will accept. You don't get to negotiate the contract terms with an auction, and once you sign, you're locked in. There's no cooling off. We'll cover that in later videos. You can get the contract and the property inspected before the auction day, and we recommend doing that. Check in with us about these items. We align with only the best to give you the best guidance. The purchaser agrees with the real estate agent to pay the deposit monies on a specific date. It is normal to pay the deposit monies when you sign a contract if you were successful at an auction. Usually, you pay the deposit monies to the real estate agency trust account. Always confirm account details verbally or in person with the real estate agent. Don't just trust emails telling you to pay money into an account. The contract of sale for land is the most important aspect of any conveyance. This document outlines the agreement between the parties and clarifies the dynamics of the sale. Now, there are different types of sale contracts. The private sale contract allows you to tailor the terms of the contract. You can remove special conditions, add conditions like subject to finance, negotiate the purchase price and the deposit due date. You also get access to cooling off, which gives you 3 business days to pull out of the contract for $100 or 0.2% of the purchase price, whichever is higher. The vendor statement, or Section 32, as it is commonly referred to, refers specifically to Section 32 of the Sale of Land Act 1962. This section is expansive and focuses on the disclosures the vendor needs to make to you as a buyer of their land they are selling. The vendor statement details information about the land, such as annual outgoings for the property, any types of covenants, caveats, or other title restrictions currently registered on the title. It also discloses any building works that have been completed in the last 7 years. Basically, the vendor statement contains all the disclosures about the land for you to complete your due diligence. In later videos, we will unpack the disclosures in more detail. For now, keep in mind that the vendor statement is all about disclosure. At this stage, you're ready to sign a contractual offer, but how do you do this? You first check that the vendor has signed the vendor's statement, either on the same day or before you signed it. If the vendor has already signed, you can be sure that they complied with the legal requirements of confirming the disclosures were accurate and true before you made your offer. You then sign the contract of sale and initial any changes that you and the vendor have agreed to. That's it! You now signed a contractual offer and the big journey begins. Now, you might be feeling a little overwhelmed, and that's okay. A purchase or sale of property is a journey not to be rushed, but to be enjoyed and understood. That's where InGen Legal comes in. We'll be there every step of the way. We take you along the journey with us, so you'll never feel lost along the way. Who better than a property law expert to guide you through the biggest transaction of your life? Well, that's all from InGen Legal's conveyancing series today. Join us on our next video, where we'll focus on the contract of sale in more depth. We hope we illuminated the path to buying or selling in Victoria even just a little bit with this video. If you would like to ask us a question, leave a comment or drop us a line at the email in this video. Please like, share and subscribe to InGen Legal so you can get all the latest videos and information on property law in Victoria.